In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use sliders to control animations in a 3D scene. I'll show you how to add two sliders, and I'll show you how to link them to the animations applied to 3D objects. The starting point for this tutorial is the Blend4web project that I made in the previous tutorial, where I linked a range slider to the Z location of a monkey. I'm going to link the range slider to the animation playback speed of the moon orbiting the Earth. To make a new project, I'm going to use clone project. The old project was made by cloning the instancing code snippet. That's why the blend file and the Json file have the name of the code snippet. Click Clone Project. I'm going to call the new project My Orbit 2 and back to projects. Next, I'm going to set up the Blender file and the Json file. The Blender file was made in a previous tutorial on web animation. You can download the file from my website, or you can use any Blender file that has an animation action in it. The only changes I'm going to make to the Blender file is to uncheck the NLA option, which automatically plays the animations in the NLA editor. I'm going to use code to play the animations. File, Save As, go to the Blend4web folder, the Projects folder, the My Orbit 2 folder, Blender. This time I am going to change the name of the Blender file to match the project name, My Orbit 2, and Save As. To export the Json file, File, Export, Blend4web JSON. Make sure you're in the My Orbit 2 Assets folder and that the file is My Orbit 2 and Export. Back in Project Manager, the old Blender and Json files are still in the project folder, but they are not needed and can be deleted. Because I cloned the MyTemp2 project, the HTML file has the old project name. I'm going to rename the HTML file to the new project name, My Orbit 2. And I'm also going to rename the CSS file Orbit and the JavaScript file. Clicking the edit link and the link for the HTML file, I need to change the name of the CSS file to Orbit 2 and the name of the JavaScript file. Notice the new ES6 type module in the link to the JavaScript file. Save the changes and click the link for the JavaScript file. Scrolling down, we see the code that links the value of the slider to the Z location of the monkey. I went through the code in the previous tutorial. Here I have the new code that links a slider to the animation speed of the moon orbiting the Earth. Notice that this time the range of the slider goes from 0 to 100%, with the starting value being 50%. This is the line that is executed when the slider pointer is moved. Because we divide the slider's value by 50, the animation speed has a multiplying factor of 0 at the minimum end of the slider's range, a multiplying factor of 2 at the maximum end of the slider's range, and a multiplying value of 1 in the middle. So the slider can be used to double the speed of the animation or to stop it, but there is a problem. You can't stop an animation by setting its speed to 0. The simplest solution is to set the minimum for the slider to a low value but not 0. If you do want to stop the animation when the value goes to 0, you need to use the stop function. If the slider is moved to the minimum position and the animation is stopped, and then the slider is moved again, then we need to start the animation back up. In the else part, the slider value is not 0, and if the animation is not playing, then we need to play it. So we can control the animation speed of the moon orbiting from stopped to twice the normal playback speed. Next, I'm going to add a second slider to control the animation speed of the Earth spinning. I've simply copied and pasted to make a second create slider function. Next, I use getObjectByName to get a link to the empty as before, but this time I also get a link to the Earth. A quick reminder of what is in the Blender file. At the center of the scene is an empty. The moon is the child of the empty. As we spin the empty, the moon follows. The same animation action, Earth spin, is used to spin the Earth and the empty. So as we slow down the playback speed of the animation action applied to the empty, won't it affect the playback speed of the same action applied to the Earth? The answer is no, because the setSpeed function is specific to the object, not the action. So when the first slider changes, we set the speed of the animation applied to the empty, which is the moon orbiting, and when the second slider changes, we set the speed of the animation applied to the Earth. Here is the function that creates the second slider. For simplicity, all I did was copy and paste the original function, changing slider to slider 2. When a project is cloned, the folder name and the JSON file name are not changed in the JavaScript file, so make sure the assets path is pointing to the new project folder and make sure the JSON file name matches. Back in Project Manager, I've copied over the new code into the JavaScript file. Click back to Projects, and clicking the link for the HTML web page, we get two sliders with which we can control the moon animation and the Earth animation. That's the end of the tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll show you how to improve the layout and styling of these sliders. I'll put all the files used in the tutorial for you to download at my website. To visit my website, click the eye icon in the top right hand corner. If you'd like to subscribe, click the stickman. If you'd like to sponsor my tutorials, click the Patreon link. Thanks for watching and goodbye.